Hi guys, so in this video we are going to see how we can remove multiple worksheets from an Excel workbook using a loop. We'll continue from our previous video where we removed a single worksheet from an Excel workbook. So let's get going to our Jupyter notebook. We are going to continue from our previous video where we removed a sheet from an Excel workbook, sheet 2. So we removed sheet 2 from examples 1 Excel workbook. And then we saved. Now we have to remove multiple Excel workbooks. So first let's see our Excel workbook and what are the sheets currently that workbook has. This is the path we have where our Excel workbook on which we are going to work is stored. Let's open this workbook now. These are the sheets we have in our Excel workbook. Sheet 1, sheet 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I go here, we have 4, 5, 6, 7. So and this we have this sheet 1 worksheet where we have stored what sheet we want to delete from this workbook. For example, in this case we have to delete sheet 5, sheet 6 and sheet 7 from this workbook. Now let's come back to our Jupyter notebook. First of all, as I said, we have to know that what sheets we need to delete. So for that we need to access the sheet 1 which has that information. If you see here again, we have this information that which sheets we need to delete in sheet 1. So we need to have a reference for sheet 1 first, and of course then we'll access A3, A4, A5 in that order or in whatever order you have stored. So to get the reference of sheet 1 where our information, relevant information is stored, we need to write this command. WS is equal to WB in square bracket, the name of the sheet in quotes. So WB, we already know we have loaded our workbook, relevant workbook in the difference of this relevant workbook in WB variable by using load underscore workbook function, which we imported here. We already discussed it in our previous video. So we'll use WB reference variable of that workbook, reference variable of examples 1 workbook, to load our relevant sheet with this command. WS is equal to WB square bracket sheet 1. Now WS is our reference variable for our relevant sheet which has the information of the sheets we need to delete. Now let's start our loop. For row in range 3, ws.maxrow plus 1. We have seen this similar statement, similar kind of loop in our creating multiple sheets video. For row in range, range gives us the range of numbers for which the loop has to run. So the range starts from 3 because our first row where the information was stored was third row. Let's see it again. So our information stored is sheet 5, sheet 6, sheet 7, and the first line where the information, the first information is stored, the first sheet name is stored is row 3. So we have to start looping from row 3. That's why I've taken 3 as a first parameter in the range function. The second parameter would be where the loop will end. So ws.maxrow, max row, we are going to take maximum rows which the sheet is having. And of course we'll do our check for the blank cells here, because of course all the rows do not have the value. So we'll do our check for the blank rows further. In the next line, I'm just doing if ws.cell row is equal to row. So this row, now this row is a parameter, but this row is the value, and this row comes from this first loop line. So the row variable, the value of row will range from 3, starting from 3 to ws.maxrow, because we have used range function. So value of row will range from 3 to ws.maxrow. Here the first value would be 3 here, and it will keep on increasing. So we check ws.cell, the cell function, and then row, we give row, and the column will always be 1 because our information was stored in only in column 1. If we had multiple columns involved, we would probably have another loop for the columns. So here we only have one column involved, so we are only using loop for the rows. So column will always be one constant, row will vary from 3 to ws.max row. So that's why we have given row and column these particular values in ws.cell. Then if ws.cell relevant rows and columns dot value is equal to none. So when we check that it is none or not, that means we are checking whether it is blank or not. If it is blank, then we'll break the loop. See, colon break. As soon as we find that the row is or cell is a blank cell, then we'll break the loop. Now what happens if it is not a blank cell? We'll take the reference, we'll take that value. So we check whether cell is blank or not, and if it is not blank, we'll take the value from that cell and put it in variable sheet name. Of course, the values are the sheet names which you want to delete. So I have taken variable sheet name. We can take any name for the variable. Here I have taken sheet name. So we'll take that value in sheet name variable. Now I need to remove that sheet, for which I have taken the name in sheet name variable. So I'll use wb.remove. This is the same command which we used here. Inside we need to use wb and sheet name. So here I'm doing the same wb and sheet, because sheet name has our value of that sheet name which we want to remove, which I have taken from here in this line. So that's why I'm directly using sheet name. Of course, this is a variable, so it will keep changing as the row progresses. So for every leg of loop, the row number will change. Of course, for every time it will check whether it is blank or not. If it is not blank, every time it will have the next sheet name which we want to delete, and every time this sheet name variable will be replaced with that next sheet name which we want to delete. And as long as we have the values in these cells, this loop will keep running, and this sheet name variable will keep changing. And of course, if the sheet name variable will keep changing, this command will keep deleting those corresponding sheet names, those corresponding sheets. So every time in every leg of loop, this wb.remove command will run. It will check wb square bracket sheet name. It will check the sheet name, which sheet name is there in this variable, and it will delete that sheet from this Excel workbook. And as long as this loop runs, every time this sheet will be deleted, and gradually in the end of the loop, all these sheets will be deleted. Now let's run this command. Of course, we'll also need to run all the other commands which are required. So first cell I ran, where I am importing the function. Second cell I ran, where I am loading the workbook. I don't now for the third cell I don't need to run, because I don't need to remove sheet 2 as of now. I don't need to save it, so I'm not running the fourth cell as well. Then I need to run this cell. This ws is equal to w sheet 1, where we are taking reference of sheet 1 in ws. So I ran this, and then I need to run this cell, this current cell, this one, where we are running this loop. So I ran all these cells, and the sheets must have been deleted now. Now we need to save. You will use the same command to save, and as I told you before as well, whenever you save the file, you should always have it closed. So in my case, I have already closed the file. If you haven't closed the file, you should first close it before saving the file. So let's run this command as well. And now if we go and open that sheet in that folder, we'll find that the sheet must have been deleted. Let's go and check the sheet. This is our relevant folder. Let's open the sheet now. The sheet is open, and you can clearly see that sheet 5, sheet 6, sheet 7, these sheets which we used in the loop, which we referred in the loop are being deleted from this sheet now, from this workbook now. So that's how we can delete the multiple sheets in a loop using Python openpyxl function. That's all for this video. Please subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.